8 minutes for your introduction on the topic, Are Demons Evidence of God? You
Really?
got 8 minutes.
Okay, thanks, man. Thanks, Tacos, and thanks, Grayson, for chatting me, having a debate about this. It's a very interesting topic. It's always interesting talking about demons, even though I wish there was no evidence for demons, and I wish they were much weaker than I think they are. And perhaps Grayson can help me destroy some of this evidence I have for demons. Um, I think the topic. I think it's just obvious that evidence of demons points to God. You'll see a lot of atheists realize that when they realize that demons exist, they realize God exists. Like even JL said he would realize that God exists if he realized demons exist. And the same with Monkey Boy. He also said that if he realized that demons exist, he would realize God exists. So it's like smoke is evidence of a fire. And the same way, angels is evidence of God. Um, Fallen angels is what we call demons. Miracles, I also think, is evidence of God if you have a miracle. And the more directly it's connected to God, the better evidence it is. Like, I think if we look at the demons, we can also realize who the true creator is, who they target, whose name they react to. You'll see that they react to Christ's name. You can see that in the New Testament as well as still today. I have multiple examples. Even the Jews were running around in the New Testament, not even believing really in Christ, just running around with his name, driving out demons until they met like a stronger demon that actually kicked their butt. But they were driving around, running around, driving out demons in Jesus' name because they saw it had an effect. So that's just some of the massive amounts of evidence. There's much more. Like I have multiple examples of where demons react to Christ's name. When people use Jesus Christ's name against them, they have a reaction to it, and we would expect stuff like that if there really is a God and there's a really is a force against them that they are scared of and that can beat them. Um, so I don't know why he chose this topic. Perhaps I wanted to talk more about the evidence of demons because I wanted to be gone, but uh, perhaps he can explain some more why this topic of was fascinating to him. I think it's pretty obvious that it's like I haven't seen many atheists that say that if they realize that demons, immaterial beings that hate God and want people not to believe that there's a creator. I don't think there's many atheists that say, "Oh, that's nothing, no evidence for a creator, no evidence for God." You know, usually they realize there is some connection between real evil pointing towards real good, and thus a real God, a real objective morals and duties. It also is this immaterial being. So if you realize that immaterial beings exist, then immaterial being like God also becomes uh, more probable for the person. So that's also one way of realizing that there's evidence for creator. I think demons are there's evidence of demons throughout cultures, throughout religions. People testify to coming in contact with these things. Um, I've seen Satanists, even they claim they can see these things, talk to these things, do tests on the things. The same with demonologists that work against demons. They fight against these things, and they also do tests on these things. There's even a guy that has his PhD in demonology at an accredited university. I just wish this taboo subject would become, more accepted. Like science shouldn't be, there shouldn't be obstruction to knowledge, gaining knowledge. Um, and I think there is a little bit in this area. Like I don't think this knowledge is like it's really explored that much um, because it's such a taboo subject. But more evidence is like alien experiences. Scientists that study alien experiences, um, They thought the experience couldn't be stopped once it started, but if people call out for Jesus, for the help of Jesus, and the whole experience just stops. So that just points me again. This is some kind of demonic experience where these things just run away when you call out for God's help. There's multiple examples of Satanists. Thing actually ran away when he called out for him. And then there's also other evidences, like I see people test around with this stuff, which is kind of dangerous. There's people that go into haunted, cemeteries and try and contact these things. I have one example where a lady and a boyfriend, I think, and a mother, they went and tried to go to the cemetery and contact this stuff, and then they went home, and these things seem to have followed them or something, because their child woke up at 3 a.m. every night screaming and crying. um, and they started seeing like a dark thing in their house. The woman first saw this dark being thing in the house, and the people in the house didn't believe him until she got video evidence of that. Then they believed her. But unfortunately, the thing destroyed that evidence. But I have many more testimonies of these people, of people seeing these things as like darkness. There's one example where a guy, he was also messing around with these things and testing them, and it knocked on his door, banged his door. He thought someone was breaking in. He went to check, and there was no one there, no one. And he got so when he gets scared, he gets angry. He got so angry, he threw a stick at the thing and said like, come at me, like you're so weak, you can't even open my door, but you can bang on it. You can't even open my door. And the door started opening and closing, and this dark thing appeared, and he just ran scared out of his house. Even when I was in primary school, there was a girl that claimed her door started opening and closing when she started contacting this stuff. But yeah, and I would love to hear what he says about that, Grayson. But
And that
thanks.
is time.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Maarten. And Grayson, let me know when you're ready, and I'll start your 8 minutes for your introduction.
Okay, ready.
You've got 8 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, first of all, there's two different directions that I could take this. One, sticking in the real world, would be that demons are not evidence for God because demons don't exist. There's no evidence that they exist, so that's one direction. The other direction would say, if demons exist, would they be evidence for God? So first, I'll just examine both of these, right? So my actual position is that demons are not real and don't exist, and there's no sufficient reason to justify believing that they do exist. The same reason I don't believe in God, I don't have a reason to form that belief because I don't see any sufficient evidence to hold that belief. I mean, the evidence that we just heard from Maarten were, I don't know. Anecdotal evidence can't really get you that far, in my opinion. I mean, people have all kinds of experiences with all kinds of things. He brought up aliens and UFOs, but he's completely ignoring all of the non-Christian experiences out there because, like he alluded to, demons are a very widespread belief amongst a lot of different cultures on the planet, and not all of them have the same properties. In fact, one of the reasons why I think that there is evidence against the existence of demons is the fact that their properties, much like the properties of various gods and goddesses, vary geographically, which is unlike what we would expect for something that actually exists. Like the properties of the sun don't vary that much because people can look up and see the sun anywhere on Earth. But for things that are, made up, cultural, they do vary. And that's what we see for demons. So, for example, one of my favorite countries, Bhutan, which I visited, they believe in demons there. And the demons in Bhutan don't, there's demons in Hinduism where they're scared away by praying to the Hindu gods. There's demons in the Islamic world, which are scared away and exorcised out of people by repeating verses from the Quran. So again, in Christian regions of the world, people think that demons are afraid of Jesus' name. But in non-Christian parts of the world, the practices vary. And that's another thing, is that the properties of these demons vary between if you're in a Christian background or a non-Christian background. Your experience, the people's reported experience with these demons is going to vary in ways that are contradicting and non-overlapping. and the way that they exercise those demons is going to vary. And we have done actual psychological and anthropological studies on people's experiences with demons, and there isn't a correlation with the method of exercising with whether or not somebody gets better. In fact, the strong correlations are whether or not people have a societal support group or, like, you know, family, friends, etc. And that seems to be much more explanatory of the data about people getting over these demonic possession incidences than actual any kinds of the actual methods that people use to so-called exorcise these demons. Another thing, and by the way, these are all evidences that I would also use against the existence of gods or goddesses. The last one being that the explanatory scope of demons, much like gods, has continuously shrunk and shrunk and shrunk as science progresses. So, for example, demons were originally thought to create illnesses, natural disasters, things that we would now label as schizophrenia or epilepsy or OCD. Now we understand that those are not caused by demons, that they all have natural causes. So the actual ability of things like that used to be attributed to demons is getting less and less and less in the world. And if you just trace that out, it seems like demons are not responsible for anything that we observe in the world, and there are naturalistic explanations for everything that Maarten brought up. I mean, doors do move with updrafts in people's houses. Houses creak all the time. People get scared and think that they see things in the shadows when there's not actually anything there. I mean, I think that a pile of clothes in my room is a guy. When I walk in and it's dark at night, I flick up the lights, it's just a pile of clothes. I mean, people have misconceptions all the time, and it contributed to demons, and they have since the days when humans were animists. So, if demons... Okay, so my position is demons don't exist. But if we were to just say, if demons were to exist, if Maarten could somehow demonstrate that demons do exist, would that be evidence of a god? I would still say no. First of all, because demons are obligatory across lots of different religions, some that don't even have gods. Like I said, animists also have a type of demons. And I wouldn't say that like there'd be some sort of a priori reason why the existence of demons would justify belief in the Christian God, when all these other cultures that also incorporate demons, it just seems like it would equally support any of these. Some have God beliefs, some don't. But then if we drill down even further, there is the problem of the Christian God that it has the three omnis, you know, omnibenevolent, omniscient, and omnipotent, where the existence of evil, the problem of evil, is still a problem if demons exist. So under that analysis, then it would be more evidence for every type of god or goddess that isn't Christian that also has demons within their religious framework. So, for example, the Christians got the concept of demons from Judaism, which got it from Zoroastrianism. So really, and in Zoroaster has the god Ahura Mazda, which is not all powerful and is constantly locked in battle with an evil dark god. And that makes way more sense given the existence of demons than a Christian god, which should have the power and motivation to wipe out demons and not have this evil. So it seems like it would, if anything, be more of an evidence for non-Christian gods than Christian gods because of the problem of evil. And finally, I would say that it doesn't really further any kind of belief in if demons exist, there's not then a reason to believe that something more than just demons exist, because demons by their very nature would be lying, deceitful, trying to deceive you, right? So they're going to try to make you believe in things that aren't real, or they're going to lie to you. So why should you then trust the properties that a demon shows you in order to make conclusions about what's real? It doesn't make any sense. A demon would want to try to trick you into believing something that's not true. So if you're trying to say that it's the way that demons are behaving or interacting with people that would lead you to think that the Christian God is real, then there's reasons that if your source for that is coming from a demon, that you should be skeptical and mistrustful of that if the demons were real in the first place, which I don't think that they are. So I think that that's most of my points there about I don't think that demons are real, and I don't think that there's good reason to believe that they're real. But even if they are, they still are not good evidence for a Christian God. They're much better evidence for Ahura Mazda or the Greek gods or whatever. I mean, Hippocrates, way back in like the 300 BCs, was one of the first people that said, demons aren't real, and all of the things that people attribute to demons are from naturalistic causes. And that was way before the Christian God was ever conceived of. So, yeah, I don't think that this would be good evidence for the Christian God at all. I don't think that you could extrapolate anything about the Christian God from the existence
And
of
that's
demons.
time. Cool. Sounds like you're all done there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I usually let y'all just finish up your statement, but let you know when it's time. Cool. So y'all will have an hour open discussion here once again. Don't forget, audience, you can increase the length of the debate by $1 a minute with super chats. Super chats you can also use to basically disrupt the debate, right? And so I'm not going to interrupt them in the middle of a statement, but after they finish and there's a natural pause, I'll jump in with an audience question or whatever. So feel free to be submitting audience questions. I've got the stuff on that on the bottom. Mega bloodbath engaged.
Okay, Grayson,
Got an hour.
I love that you said that the amount of stuff attributed to demons is just going down. I
Yeah.
love that. But I'm struggling to get the last stuff down, I'm struggling to destroy the last pieces of evidence, There's
Okay, so
I think there's massive amounts of evidence. Like
So
even
wait.
the NYPD are fighting against demons. There's a sergeant there that he became a full-time demonologist after experiencing doing tests on this stuff. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't make
I
sense.
think I
Aaron
might know
Ra
what you're talking
even
about, but
Aaron Ra even he
so
also saw this stuff.
so I
He could
think that this is maybe a good point of initial agreement, at least, is that it used to be back in the day, right, in the Bronze and Iron Age, that things like illnesses that were caused by germs or like bad weather or droughts or like kind of misfortunes that were not understandable to those people at that time were commonly attributed to demons, right? We would both agree with that. And that
Mm.
since then, the breadth of things that used to be attributed to demons has whittled down to just a few subset phenomenon, right? Do we agree with that as much as that goes so far?
Yeah, I hope you're right there. We
Okay.
we always have to science always has to double check. Is that stuff right? But I think I would say yes. We have to. They have to work to get some, something attributed to them. They have to prove that with a lot of evidence that something is pointing towards them.
Okay, so from my perspective, there aren't really any phenomenon left that are attributed to demons in the sense of like
Then you haven't studied
it's
it.
a scientific mystery how this happens and like what is it. So I would like to hear from you, what are the things that you think are still attributable to demons in the modern day? Is it just people have weird experiences and they think that they've interacted with demons or something? They have these experiences of encountering demons. Is that it?
Yeah, but I just want to go back to you said the sun. People don't experience the sun differently or the properties, but people all over the world experience the sun as well differently. It depends. Even my solar panels have to be in a different angle depending on the sun. The sun has different characteristics depending where you're on the earth. So that doesn't mean like just because someone has a different characteristic of the sun that the sun doesn't exist. The same with demons. You get demons with different characteristics as well, just like you have different characteristics and different talents than me, and a different way of speaking. They seem to also be unique in
So
all their ways.
this is a little bit of a shift of what we were just talking about to my other point about how
Yeah,
demon encounters
we can go back to that. I just wanted to
No,
not
no,
forget
I'll
that you
address
talked about the sun.
Yeah, I'll address it. Like demon encounters varying across the world is what I was saying. So, are you positing that the actual demons themselves are actually varying in these ways? Like, because if you're saying that we experience the sun in different ways, like that wasn't really the point I was making. I was trying to make the point that like, yeah, people don't experience the sun as like something that is like, people don't say the sun has big feet and wings and stuff and you can see it in the sky. Like when we look at the sun, I've been a bunch of different countries. The sun looks the same. It can be in different positions. There could be like variations about somebody seeing a sunset while somebody sees a sunrise, whatever. But the basically the point here is that like you're saying that these variations, which do have naturalistic explanations for something like the sun, and do actually denote an actual difference in the person's experience. You're saying that that is similar to demons, and that these demons might actually be truly varying in those ways in different regions. So then it's like, are you just saying then that in Christian areas, the demons are afraid of the name of Christ, but in non-Christian areas, it's like they respond to the Hindu gods instead, and like
I
those are
don't think they respond that well. I think they can go away, but they come back. Like I've seen Satanists drive out demons, but the thing comes back. Like one guy woke up at 3 a.m. the whole time, and this guy went to help him, the Satanist, and he gave him some offerings, the demon, and he slept like a baby the first few nights or week or so, and then the thing came back. He woke up at 3 a.m. the whole time. So just because you can get out the demon for a while, he comes back, or he just acts like he's gone, you know?
Well, yeah, and like I said, like when people have studied this, they've shown that the actual like method of exorcising demons doesn't have a statistically significant impact on whether or not the person's symptoms get better. But
So why do people do it then?
what does actually have a statistically significant difference in the matter is just whether or not they had a support group that was like making some kind of intervention. It doesn't matter what the intervention is, as long as they have a support group that was trying something, then that is the big difference in them getting better or not. It's basically like the placebo effect. It doesn't matter what is in the fake pill that I give you. It could be any different type of substance. The important part is that you believe that you took medicine that works, and the placebo effect makes you get better. It doesn't matter what's actually in the pill.
Okay, so you think exorcism works?
It works in
It's just a
so
placebo.
far. It works in certain situations where like you have people that are getting together trying to like support somebody, trying to help them, and then they do some sort of intervention, and if the person truly believes that they have a demon and they truly believe that it's exorcised, then the placebo effect can make them get better. It's not that exorcisms work, it's that the placebo effect and having societal mutual support among a community, those are what help.
Okay, so I've seen an example of like um, a Satanist going for exorcism because the Satanist wanted to stay a Satanist. He just wanted to get rid of some of the demons that were like irritating or torturing him. The person, it's a girl in a way.
Yeah, to me, I wouldn't speculate about individual cases because I don't really know what their belief systems really are. If the fact that they're going to like a Christian exorcist probably makes me think that they were not an actual Satanist if they were doing that. Like they might have been agnostic or open to possibilities, or like they, I don't know. I can't.
You get
Speculate.
different kinds of Satanists. You get Satanists that
Yeah,
are
I
like
know.
atheists, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and so
So
I would just question what that person actually believed. I wouldn't just lump them into a group with Satanists. Where you're right, there's Satanists that are atheists, and there's Satanists that are very much not atheists, and you can't just lump them all in together like they don't have the same beliefs. So likewise, the situation where you said that there was like, I can't remember if you said Satanist or atheist, but the guy that felt like he was getting choked and he called out the name of Jesus and then it went away. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think that I would think to call out the name of Jesus in such a situation. I would probably think that I was experiencing sleep paralysis, if anything. I don't think that if I would, unless I was predisposed to being Christian or leaning towards Christianity, I don't think I would have a reason to shout out the name of Jesus in that situation. So, in these individual cases, it's impossible for me to get myself in the head of what that person experienced.
yeah, the person was probably a Christian at one point, and he testifies to what happened there, and he thinks it's evidence that Jesus is evil. He thinks
Yeah,
that
that's
experience that he had is that Jesus is evil. I take it as that demons exist, and Jesus' name has effect on them. You
so
understand?
this actually, I mean, I didn't necessarily bring up this argument in my opening, but before I have run the argument when I've had these debates on the existence of God or whatever, and I bring up the fact that other people have experiences of their gods, like in Hinduism or Islam or whatever. And sometimes Christians will tell me, well, they are experiencing something. They're experiencing demons deceiving them. And then I always bring up, well, how do you know that Jesus is not a demon deceiving you and Christians? Because it would be just as easy, like, to explain Christianity if Jesus was a demon that was Christians. I see no reason to think that that cannot be the case, or is that like somehow less likely than Jesus being God?
Yeah, I think there's much more evidence that he's actually God than just a demon. He's coming. He's a savior. He comes. I have multiple examples where he saves people. Demons don't save people.
Okay, there's like two different points right there. But for one, I mean, I'm totally open to going to an exorcist and trying to experience this myself. I don't think that it's going to do much of anything. Like I've been to like churches that do faith healing before, and like talk about casting off demons, and to me it just looks like it doesn't look like there's any demons in the room. So I'd be open to such an experience. I don't think that it would change my mind, but I'm willing to approach it with an open mind. But I mean, yeah, I don't really see the practice of exorcism as being anything, because again, it's cross.
Have you heard how these things sound? Have you heard
Well, hold
how
on.
they sound?
I'm making the point that it's cross-cultural, right? You can have like shamans in sub-Saharan Africa exorcising demons out of people by putting
Yeah, but I'm saying it doesn't work.
good spirits into them or whatever, and people are having these experiences across all these cultures. So,
Yeah.
like, why should I think that all of these experiences are the result of a Christian ontology rather than any other religion's ontology?
Look, we're debating just that it's pointing towards God, though. But I think it's evidence for Christian theology, because I think the Christian God's name has the biggest effect on them. Like, if you can show me evidence of a bigger effect on these things, if they react worse than what I've seen they react to the Christian God, then I would say, okay, that's good evidence
Well,
against my.
that's not what I would have to demonstrate. I mean, like the fact is that you would have to demonstrate that the name Jesus has a more of an impact, because we do see in cultures across the planet, right? In the Islamic world, they chant verses from the Quran to get rid of demons. You would have to show that that's less efficacious than Christian exorcism, which to my knowledge, no such study has ever been done. And the actual
Well, I
study
have one example.
the actual studies on exorcising demons show that the methodology is irrelevant. That's what the actual studies that we have show. And where did you hear about this?
It's a Muslim that testifies it. They put their lives on the line when they leave Islam and testify what made them leave Islam,
Yeah, but you said
Like
that he
Paul.
doesn't believe in Jesus, so is he not?
No. He later believed in Jesus. I said at that point he didn't believe that Jesus is God. He just was wondering, why would Jesus work against a demon and not Allah or any other God?
So, by the way, you keep mentioning this choking thing. Are you aware of the incubus phenomenon in sleep paralysis, where it's very common, a reported experience during sleep paralysis, that people feel like there's something sitting on their chest or physically choking them above them, and people attribute it to demons, hence the name incubus phenomenon. But it's like it's commonly understood to be a phenomenon of sleep paralysis. Like there's nothing.
Yeah, but this guy was not sleeping though. But
okay, so
yeah.
what? I mean, I don't know the specifics of this one particular testimony, but I do know that it's a common cultural practice to repeat verses from the Quran that exorcises demons in the Islamic world. And for every one testimony that you can provide, there's going to be multiple testimonies throughout the.
I would love to see it.
So are you doubting that it's a cultural practice, that there are demon possessions that they get rid of with repeating Quranic verses? Or are you just saying that they do that, but it's just never effective, or it's only temporary?
I'm just saying it's not as effective as the Christian God.
And so what basis do you have to make such a claim? Is it just this one guy's testimony?
No, there's lots of examples. Like even I have an example of a witch using Jesus' name, and you can hear on the recording afterwards. She couldn't hear it, but afterwards you can hear on the recording how the demons react,
but
how they scream and run away.
She never tried a prayer to a Hindu god or by like verses from the Quran. So it's not like this is an actual study. These are people's anecdotal.
Yeah, but I would love to see something like that for Allah or something, where this is common, that if you use Allah's name against a demon, then he just screams or he reacts to it like crazy and runs away.
They believe that using verses from the Quran is what does that in the Islamic world. They don't use Allah's name to do that. They use specific verses from the Quran. It's like a whole cultural practice.
Yeah, but some of the verses in the Quran is from.
It sounds
from
like
Iblis, or what do we call it, from a jinn. Like literally a jinn is quoted in the Quran. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like you have a faith position that like Jesus is more effective at scaring away these demons, and I see the practice of exorcising demons occurring throughout the world. For example, in Bhutan, seem to be pretty dang effective. I mean, I don't think that you can just make this
Yeah,
blanket.
no one takes that seriously though.
Well, I don't take
And I
what you're
think
saying seriously.
yeah,
Though.
it is
And I
taken
would also
seriously, and
argue
it's
the
studied
people
at
in
university even. Like I
ma-
think some of the stuff is studied at university, even
many people,
theology is
many
studied at
people,
university.
many people in Bhutan do take this seriously. It's one of their foundational myths. But also, and people study this, like scholars of Bhutanese Buddhism and folklore. There are also demonologists like in that study that too. There are entire like temples and libraries devoted to demons and researching them there. It is taken seriously. I don't think that it's fair to you to just dismiss it as being super.
No,
When like
I'm
literally,
saying I'm dismissing it because, like you said, this stuff can make up garbage, and that clearly sounds like garbage. You
I think
understand?
that what you're saying
Anyone can look at
sounds
that
like garbage.
and what
I think what you're saying to me clearly sounds like
you.
garbage.
Yeah,
So if
but you
that's a,
haven't studied it.
if
You
that's a
haven't looked
valid
into
reason,
it.
if it's a valid reason for you to dismiss something that you haven't studied, then why is it not a valid reason for me to dismiss it if it just sounds like garbage to me? If that's all you're going to do for Bhutanese demons?
Yeah, it sounds like garbage to me, but I could be wrong. Send me the stuff then. If the evidence, I can send you lots of evidence that the demons exist, and I would love a good explanation for that. All that evidence, so that I can think they're weaker losers than I really think they are. You know,
The
so
explanation for people's encounters with demons is that human perceptions are flawed. And
okay,
I
so
mean,
you would throw away that evidence and say it's no evidence at all.
I would just say that it's not sufficient evidence. Like, for example, like if somebody were to just come up to me and tell me that they saw a giant pink dancing hippopotamus, I'd probably say, yeah, I doubt it. Like, I mean,
So
no.
if everyone around the world comes in contact with these beings, you say it's no evidence at all.
Well, first of all, not everyone all around the world comes into contact with these beings. I certainly haven't, and there are multiple cultures that don't have any conception of demons, and they don't seem to be missing anything for not having that. So, no, it's not all over the world. It's several places do, but again, several places that don't believe in God also believe in demons. Like there are animists that have no gods, but they just have spirits, and some of those spirits can be malevolent.
And some Satanists as well. They just believe in demons.
Sure.
All right, and before moving further into this, there was a super chat a little back. Pandora's Pinata. Great to see Grayson back. I was concerned some Hovendites found him after the spanking he gave Kent. By the way, the glove's spinning the wrong way again. And that did add 5 minutes to the debate. Also, y'all can be more free on the top. They can be more free on the topic after the initial hour. So if y'all want to extend the debate a little bit, get them discussing the evolution topic we had going at the start, feel free to submit some super chat questions around that or whatever, and we'll get there.
Okay, so can we get back to the how you say demons are not evidence of God or for God? Angels, miracles are miracles. If miracles, lots of miracles, is proven to exist, you also would say that's not evidence of God or for God.
It would depend on the nature of the miracles, I would think. Like some miracles could indicate God and some miracles wouldn't, I would think. So
Okay, and so the same with demons, or what?
Well, yeah, I think that demons are a little bit like more skeptical than miracles because again, like demons, the whole conception is that they're trying to lie and deceive you. So trying to like discern things about their properties in order to like guess at like something else just seems fundamentally flawed because their entire purpose and motivation would be to trick you to believing something that's false. So if they were doing things that made you believe in God, then I would have reason to think that God is false because demons are trying to make me believe false things.
Yeah, but that's why I say study them, like not listen to them. Like there's these Satanists that listen to them and then they claim Islam is true because a demon told me. No, I don't believe that garbage. Like I don't believe the garbage that comes from them, but I would study them and look at their characteristics, stuff like that, where I'm objectively studying them, not listening to what garbage they give me. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you can never be sure whether or not the demons would still be deceiving you in that way. Like they could be pretending.
But you sound now like we can never be sure if we actually exist, you know, because we could be in a
Yeah, but
simulation or, you know,
yeah,
we
but
can
in
never
this
be
case,
100% sure. Like
There is
don't be
difference.
that skeptical, you know.
There is a difference here, because in this case, if we're already just assuming that demons do exist, then we're already like talking about they have the property of trying to actively deceive humans into believing false things. There's no reason to assume that reality has that property. So we should be more skeptical of demons than we are about just existence generally. I think that follows based on their properties.
Yeah, that's why I don't believe what they say. I wouldn't talk to demons. Like I wouldn't speak to them and try
Yeah, but
communicate
you
with them.
agree that they can mislead through their actions as well, not just what they say. They can do actions that make you believe something that is still deceiving to you.
Yeah, but I think we should study. So obviously, we should study them with skepticism, but we should try and figure out. I don't think they're impossible to crack, like to figure out. I
Yeah,
don't think just because they can trick us, like you can trick me. No, it's impossible. I can know nothing about you because you can trick me. Or some people are more prone to tricking me, then it's impossible to figure something out about you because you're able to trick me. I don't think that follows, you know.
Yeah, but again, one of my properties that we're not accepting, like we don't just accept that one of Grayson's properties is that I am always motivated to deceive you. Like, but that is one of the properties that we are accepting of demons if we are accepting demons exist. So again, that is a fundamental difference that makes this disanalysis.
But do you know why what they're trying to deceive them?
Hold on. I would say that that Christians generally don't have good reason to think that Jesus is not a demon. And if Jesus is a demon, then the other demons, it makes sense that they would want to deceive us into believing that Jesus is God, because that would be ultimately fulfilling their demonic agenda of having us deceive what is true. So
I think no one takes that theory seriously, but
I mean, there's not a
float
good
your boat, you know.
You just have your own personal incredulity against that.
No, I'm just saying, like, no one. I think it's obvious. Like, no one takes that seriously. Like, that's why no Christian thinks that Jesus is a demon.
I take it just as seriously as I take the proposition that Jesus is a god. So to me, they're equal levels of silliness, because both gods and demons, there's not reason to think that they exist in the first place. So to me, they both sound equally
So
ridiculous.
You think there's no evidence for demons?
I think that there's no sufficient evidence. Like, if you're just saying that anyone's claim of anything is evidence for that thing, fine, but like, it's not sufficient evidence that would warrant me.
So what would count as sufficient evidence?
Like, if you could actually study demons, if there was something that, like,
That's
hey,
what we
if
do.
somebody gets possessed and they start flying and levitating around and they are like actively speaking some kind of demonic speech or something, and they're doing all this crazy stuff and it's documented, that could be better evidence, because it would be somebody doing something that would not otherwise be possible.
Okay, but I have video evidence of stuff, them moving objects, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So you would still just say no, that's not evidence at all, what?
Like, you can go on Discovery Channel and watch evidence for there like being ghosts and haunted houses and stuff, but that's
evidence for demons. I don't think there's ghosts. I just think it's demons.
Yeah, I think that largely those videos are not showing anything supernatural, and they're either fake or they're too blurry and ambiguous to tell what's even going on.
Like, no, this guy had multiple cameras with different wavelengths. I think demons can not hide so easily anymore with our technology.
So then it's just YouTubers that are finding the evidence, but like researchers that are more.
No, there's researchers.
Who?
There's guys that's studying it. There's guys that actively full-time demonologists fighting against them.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't think that those guys have found anything that is any justifiable.
You think they're fighting fairies? You think they're fighting nothing?
Fighting... Yeah, fraudsters. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's fine that you can react with personal incredulity to that, but to me, what seems very incredulous is like the fact that demons exist. But I'm not using my own personal incredulity as an argument against their existence. I'm using the lack of evidence, the evidence of how they vary.
There's lots of evidence.
The evidence for how their properties and their interactions vary based on the person's presuppositions and religious framework. Like the evidence that their explanatory scope has diminished over time. Like, none of these arguments are just my own personal incredulity, because of course I think believing in demons is silly, but I'm not using that as an argument.
Yeah, but you say even if demons exist, it's no evidence at all for God.
Yeah, I think that.
Like, I can't believe that. Like, that is like.
I think it's like, okay, I'm talking about the Christian God because you're a Christian, right?
No, but our thing is, our topic is for God.
Yeah, but I think by God, you're talking about the Christian God. You're not talking
Yeah,
about
but
Mazda,
just God.
not
The
talking
topic is
about
just
Zeus.
God. I just have to prove that it's evidence for God, of God and
Yeah,
for
but
God.
I mean, come on, just argue what you actually believe. Don't weasel out of your actual beliefs.
Yeah,
Like
but
again,
that's the topic you
as I said,
chose.
as I said, like the evidence, like, if demons do exist, they would be stronger evidence for a God that is not omnibenevolent and omnipotent, right? Because if it's all good and all powerful, demons wouldn't exist. So therefore, if demons exist, they would be evidence of a God that is either not all good or not all powerful. And
But it's still evidence for God.
for a certain God, but certainly not your
Yeah,
God, Christian
but
God.
still God. We can
Yeah, but
debate on what characteristic God is, but
look,
afterwards. But
you can have your
I
little
just want to
Twitter.
see that you can see that it is actually pointing towards God.
I still don't think so, because again, there are religious frameworks that do have demons that don't have gods, and if you're just accepting that demons exist, I don't see that as then justifying a leap to other supernatural things that are not demons existing. So, like, if you acknowledge demons exist, there could be a world where the only supernatural thing is demons, and that they're trying to trick people into believing that gods exist. That is a possibility. You can't just automatically say that it's evidence for God, because it's also evidence for non-God hypotheses, like in animism, or like a demon-centered theology kind of thing. Like there's tons of other explanations that would be equally, if not more, probable, and specifically for the Christian God, because that's really what I'm interested in discussing. If I were going to know that you were going to be this lawyerish and pedantic about it, I would have just had the
No, I
topic.
was just wondering.
I would have just had the topic be, is it evidence for the Christian God? Because that's what I thought we were discussing. You're not a deist, you're not a Muslim, so just argue for the God you actually believe in.
Yeah, but that's not the topic you chose. I'm just saying, like, if you want to admit to the topic that, yeah, demons is evidence for God.
Between different ideas. So if you're going to try to argue for something that you don't actually believe in, then you're just being disingenuous. Like, I'm arguing my actual position.
I just want to show you first that it's pointing towards God. Then we can worry about who God is, what he is like, what is characteristic. I just want you to realize that demons point towards a good creator.
Well,
If
they
there's
don't.
something
That's the
evil,
argument I just made.
there's something good.
Well, the argument I just
Evil,
made is that they cannot point towards an all-good, all-powerful creator. Like that's one thing that demons
yeah,
cannot point
but it's
towards.
still pointing towards a creator.
I don't
You
think
can
it's
say,
pointing
oh,
creator either. Like the universe could be non-created and could be past eternal and have demons. It doesn't point towards there being a creator or a beginning to the universe just because there's demons.
so how is demons then evil? Demons would then not be evil. They can
Demons are
do
evil
what they
from our
want.
perspective because they do things that we would consider to be evil.
Okay, so there is no real evil in your worldview.
I'm a moral anti-realist.
Okay, what exactly is that?
Yeah, I don't think that there's objective morals.
Okay,
Morals
so
are
demons are
intersubjective.
not evil.
Yeah, from our perspective, demons would be evil. Like for you to make comments about good or evil, it has to be relative to a certain perspective.
Okay, so you don't believe in objective morality. You don't think
No,
that we can objectively condemn demons.
not objectively.
But if there's a God, we can, right?
Not really. It would
How
depend
do you
on
come
the
to that
nature of such
conclusion?
gods.
Like I thought we were talking now about the Christian God. You wanted to talk about
Well,
the
the Christian
God.
God has the problem of evil, so like just the fact that it would be evil demons would preclude a Christian God, and like it's just contradictory to have omnibenevolence, omnipotence, and demons existing. But at the same time, demons not existing would be evidence against a Christian God, because in the Bible Jesus casting out demons, etc. So if demons don't exist, then that would mean that the biblical God would lose evidence and would not be would be less probable than if demons did exist. But the
Yeah, but
counterfactual is not necessarily true.
if demons, I just thought at the beginning that demons are just head problems that people have, but that doesn't fit the data, all the data that I have, so and all the evidence. So
How that
it
seems to
doesn't
fit
fit
all
it.
of the evidence that I have.
No, there's psychologists, like even the exorcists, they call in psychologists because they can't do exorcism on someone that has some other kind of problem. It won't help them. So even they call in psychologists, and they want the most skeptical psychologists because they want alternatives, because it's not going to help. for a person that, perhaps a placebo effect, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. That's a cool story, but I don't really think that that's necessarily the case. I mean,
the Catholic Church
ex-
does that.
exorcists are typically employed by the church. I mean, they're not bringing along psychologists. Psychologists have day jobs. I mean, they can't just go anytime an exorcist calls for them to go and exercise.
Well, I could show you a well-known or a successful psychologist that I can show you example of. That he was invited. He was super skeptical, and later, after he checked all the data, he started realizing this stuff exists. He was
Yeah,
super
but the
skeptical.
problem with that is that you can find like, oh, this guy was a biologist and then he got his degree and then he became a creationist, or hey, this guy was a physicist and then he became a flat earther. Like you can
Yeah,
point
but
out
look at the
individual
data.
cases. You can point out individual cases of these people like changing their worldviews and opinions, but that doesn't change the state of the data or the consensus, which is
It's
where
from the evidence that it changes his opinion.
yeah, well, lots of creationists say that too. Like Nathaniel Jeanson will tell you that it's the evidence that made him like think about this and genetic entropy, and they make up all of this evidence. They're lying about the state of the evidence. Like these individuals, like they don't hold much water if you just point to individual anecdotes about, oh well, hey, the evidence changed this guy's mind, so therefore this is what the evidence says objectively. No, it doesn't work like that.
Say you were super skeptical about demons and you went around with exorcists and you studied this stuff with them, and then you realize this stuff exists, and then I point towards you being example, then you say that's no evidence at all. You could be lying, or
Yeah. Well, like
so,
in this scenario, I thought I was the one that was changing my mind to demons based on the evidence. So I would bring forward what the evidence that changed my mind is. I wouldn't just say, well, hey, I'm a guy that used to not believe in demons, and then the evidence changed my mind. Like I would demonstrate what the evidence is that changed my mind.
okay. Yeah,
So,
the same with this guy. He points towards
so what's
throughout
the evidence
history.
that changed this one guy's mind?
Well, he was the guy that I think the Roman Catholic Church asked him for a high-profile case where that one girl, she was a Satanist and she wanted to get rid of the demons but still say a Satanist. And they called him in, and he investigated the stuff. And he also said, like, the first time he met this girl, like, the girl told him, like, how did you like those cats last night? Because his cats went crazy at 3 a.m. And that's the first time he met that girl. And he also heard like these voices from this girl, it seems.
There are tons of skeptical people that go in and say, oh, wow, he knew about my dream that I had last night. They say something sufficiently vague to where you can identify it. It's the entire principle by which horoscopes work in the newspaper. That doesn't mean that like the person that's writing the horoscopes in the newspaper is actually reading the future or like knows about the millions of people that are its readers. Like, I mean, these are commonly done by like street magicians trying to impress people.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
you
and
can go
there's a
check the
couple
evidence.
super chats I'd like to get to real fast. And just for a point of clarification, for anybody that might be joining us here a little bit in the back half of the initial discussion, can you define demon and then we'll move into the questions?
Okay, should I define demon?
Yeah, just for clarity for everybody.
Yeah, so in my opinion, a demon is a fallen angel. So it rebels against God, and it's constantly trying to get people to not believe that God exists and to reject God's love and forgiveness. It's an immaterial being. I don't think material beings is the only thing that exists.
I would just
Gotcha.
define it as like an evil spirit, right? I mean, like that's like that would explain it for most cultures on Earth. Like there are asuras and rakshasas in Hinduism. There are devas in Zoroastrianism. There are diamonds in ancient Greece, which is where we get the name demon. In most of these contexts, it just refers to some sort of supernatural entity that is nefarious or evil.
So you're talking about the category, and Maarten sounds like he's talking about a subset of that category.
But I think that Maarten would point to all of the examples that I brought up as also being demons.
Right,
So
right. Just
we're
hit
talking
the-
about the same thing, even though we
Right.
define.
And then Big Bad Mama was asking Maarten, if demons are real, why have multiple demonic possession cases been positively treated by antipsychotic medications?
Well, that it clearly isn't a demon then. unless demons change from medication as well, get out from medication as well.
I mean, I've experienced sleep paralysis before, where I've thought,
Have
oh,
you?
I thought I heard a screaming voice, or oh,
What
I
happened to your
like
sleep
shadows
paralysis?
in my room or whatever, and it's like, oh, you wake up in the middle of the night and you think that there's something that scared you. I mean, that's not going to be convincing to me, because like these experiences are pretty natural part of the human.
So waking up 3 a.m. 3 nights in a row exactly, no evidence for you at all.
That's part of your body's circadian rhythm. I don't know.
Okay,
like,
so
that's
it's
not
just luck, you know, it's just after coming in contact with demons.
I mean, I've had experiences where, like, I thought, like, in my dream, like, my dad woke me up and were like, "It's 5:17. What are you doing? Like, you need to be awake." And then I wake up and my clock says 5:17, and like, I'm like, "Oh wow, that's crazy." It's like,
Yeah, I just see this characteristic everywhere. But anyway, you said you were like you had this experience, sleep phenomenon, paralysis.
yeah,
You
I've
know
sleep paralysis.
what happened?
I was lying in my room. It felt like there were like shadows like moving around above me and stuff like that. And there's another experience where I thought that I heard someone like scream outside my door or something, but none of that shit
So
was
you
real.
couldn't move or what?
I wasn't trying to move because like I don't know, like it just freaks you out to try to move if you can't. So I just don't even try it. But yeah, sleep paralysis.
Okay, so how many times has this happened to you?
Not very often.
Like when last, or only 2 times, or what you say?
Yeah, about like 2 times, maybe 3 times. Another time it happened, but nothing scary happened.
Is it scary?
Yeah.
Like, did it scare the hell out of you or what? Because I would love to experience this stuff. I've never experienced sleep paralysis.
I don't know. It's like startled me, but I wasn't like, oh my god, is there somebody screaming outside my door? It's like, well, I know the situation that I'm in right now. I'm experiencing sleep paralysis, so these are hallucinations. So I wasn't like super scared. It was more of like a surprising jolt, I guess. But
Okay, so you didn't have a long one.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Okay,
mean,
I'm glad.
like people like Tucker Carlson talk about, oh wow, like I woke up with mysterious scratch marks, and like I sleep with my dogs, but nothing could have, like, that had to be a demon or whatever. And it's like people are experiencing weird things all the time, like all the time. People tell me that they think that the traffic lights changed just for them when they're driving. Like they people interpret the world around them in all kinds of weird, idiosyncratic ways that don't make logical sense. That doesn't mean that I think that like it's evidence that they were correct and that like something is manipulating the traffic lights just to prevent that person from getting home on time.
So, like, even Aaron Ra, I think he saw these things, and he claimed that he can make other people see the things if they wanted to. He can make anyone see these things. Like, I would love to know how he explains that evidence away for demons.
Well, you
But
can induce
like Aaron Ra,
you can induce trances. I mean, that's like a state that people have known about, like hypnosis or whatever, or suggestibility. Like you can make people see things that aren't there. I mean, it's not like that's like an.
so you think he hypnotized the people or what?
I mean, yeah, like hypnosis is a thing that does work on suggestible people in suggestible states. Like trance-induced demonic experiences are pretty well. Like you can actually search in the scientific literature for like demonic possession trances, and you can see like the science of studying how people are put into these trances where they think that they're being possessed by a demon. Like it's not uncommon.
So how do they explain it? What happens there? Like, it's just a trance that the person goes into.
Yeah, it's a
and
phenomenon of
the person loses. The person can't handle its body. He's like losing control of its body or what?
Yeah, I mean, sleepwalking is something similar where you're no longer like you're not conscious, you're asleep, but you can be talking, you can be doing activities and stuff. Your body is active. People used to think that that was demonic possession, but now we understand that it's just it's natural sleepwalking. Like there's nothing supernatural involved with that.
But so yeah, I would love to do tests with you on this stuff and show you all the evidence I have and see what you have to say about it. I think there's massive amounts of evidence I can show you. We can weeks and weeks. I can show you the evidence of the stuff that I have, and would love for you to get me good counters like that, or something that fits all the data, that can explain all the data easily.
You know, I think that psychological phenomenon explain just about all of the data except for stuff like your house making weird sounds or like doors opening and stuff, like which can be explained mostly through like air currents.
How does air currents open and shut the door fast, like the one
Are
guy
you
said?
serious? Like pressure differentials will shut doors.
Yeah, but like super fast. He said went super fast, open and close, open and close.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've literally had similar things happen, like where like
Your doors open and close as well.
if you're like leaving doors open, they'll slam or whatever because
Yeah,
of
but that's
pressure.
easy to explain. Yeah, I wouldn't say. I'm talking about opening and closing fast.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm a little bit skeptical about what actually happened in that guy's experience, but you know,
Well, you can listen to experiences he had. He messed
yeah,
around with this stuff.
yeah. I mean, I think that there's psychological phenomena that explain most of like strange eyewitness testimony phenomenon. There's even like the added additional um, nuance of like false memories. Like when people tell a story over and over and over again, they tend to believe their own embellishments, and like they can start to really think that it was doing all this when like the actual thing that they experienced in the moment might have been like significantly different. It's just hard to tell because human psychology is very unreliable. Like, I mean, that's just a
But
fact.
so, if demons exist, how do you think we can scientifically figure out that they exist? Because they can always trick us. Like, how do you scientifically prove that they exist if they existed? Like, because they can always trick you, you know. So if they existed, like even if you put up a scientific experiments, they can mess up your experiment because they're not like stupid animals that we can easily do tests on. So that's
Yeah,
one of the difficulties.
I think that if demons, like if the Christian God was real and demons exist, I think that what you're saying would be a decent test of it. If we look at all around the world, various people that have been possessed by demons, and if we see reliably that invoking the name of Jesus has a better effect at like driving out these demons or whatever than other cultures, then that could be a point in your favor, and that could be like some evidence.
But you would just say again they're tricking us into thinking that Jesus is a
I
better,
would say
you
that
know.
that's possible. I would say that it's possible that the demons could be tricking us in that.
Yeah.
But I would still think that that would be something in your favor if that was demonstratable, which to my knowledge, it's not. And that you
So
have.
that one guy that actually tested it and he came in contact with a demon, he started using all the names of Allah and everything, and nothing worked until he used Jesus' name.
Yeah, I'm going to be skeptical of any anecdotal evidence from one guy. That I don't think that that's sufficiently testing it. I think that the way to test it would be to actually look at the data of like, well, here are all the people claiming they've had demonic encounters. Here are the people that get better, and you can see that there's a statistically reliable difference in using interventions with Christianity methods versus non-Christian methods. And if there was a noticeable difference, which there's not, then that would be evidence. But like all the data that we seem to have on the studies done on this seems to say that the method is irrelevant to people's healing.
But so you agree that exorcism works, or what? You just think it's a placebo.
You already asked me this question, and I told you
Yeah.
what does have the actual statistical significance about whether or not the exorcism works.
It's the people. Yeah.
It's the
But
people,
not the exorcism.
the support system. It's not the exorcism itself.
Okay. So why do you think people do exorcism?
Well, because they believe in demons. They have a false belief, and
But you don't think it is directly. They
no,
they don't figure out that it directly.
Said that that's a Christian convert, so it's going to be a little bit biased. Like you're not asking anybody.
Yeah, because the evidence is always going to convince the guy, and then he's obviously automatically biased. If the evidence it makes you realize that demons exist and that God exists, you're automatically now biased. And atheists would say you're biased. We can't like take your. We would rather take an atheist.
I'm saying it's more of like a selection bias because like the reason that you're paying attention to this guy, the reason that you're aware of this guy is because he has this story of converting to Christianity because this worked. But for all the people that maybe tried something like this and it didn't work, or got convinced of the truth of the Quran because they got the Quranic verses and scared them away, you're probably not.
I would love to see that.
I know, but I'm saying
I've never seen that.
I'm saying that you are unlikely to come across those people because you don't read Arabic and you're not in these Islamic circles that would be discussing this
Yeah.
in their history. But I would say that like the same thing, like you can point, if you're saying Paul changed his mind or whatever, I can point to what's that Indian king that converted to Buddhism? I can point to him. I can't remember his name right now, but it starts with an A. But there are multiple examples of people having religious conversions and then having some sort of profound effect on them. Like, and that
Yeah,
goes,
I'm not talking about profound perfect. I'm also not just talking about the profound perfect. I'm talking about that God literally talks to these people, shows up, just like he showed up to Moses and then told him to do miracles to show that I'm actually showed up to you,
yeah,
that I
but you're
actually came to you, evidence
yeah, but you're
that I,
claiming that that stuff happened, but I have no reason to believe that any of that stuff has
yeah,
actually happened.
because you haven't looked at the evidence yet. You
I
haven't looked
have.
at
I mean, I've
no.
done
I'm,
I have
I'm,
done like over 100 debates with Christians who have been trying to convince me that this stuff happened. They bring the evidence. I see it in the Bible. I get that a book says that it happened, but that's not a good
it's
evidence.
still evidence.
It's not sufficient evidence to justify the belief in it. Like I can write down
That's still
anything.
evidence.
I can write down anything in a book, and it's not good evidence.
Yeah, you would say it's not good evidence, but I would still say it's a cumulative case, and that's just some of the massive amounts of evidence in
Well,
history that God showed up.
the cumulative case is still insufficient. Like all of the evidence that we have is still insufficient to justify that belief.
I don't think so.
I
Just
know
because
that.
you haven't seen enough evidence, perhaps.
I mean, what am I missing? What have I not seen? I mean,
Perhaps you should look on the channel I made a little bit so you can see some of the massive amounts of evidence I have.
I
And
mean,
then
people
I can show you lots more evidence than that. If that's not enough evidence, I can show you much more evidence.
Okay, I'm aware of what the Bible says. I'm aware of people's arguments for this philosophical reason for God. I'm aware of all the arguments, right? I know about them pretty decently. I'm pretty experienced in this, and I'm saying that the cumulative case is still insufficient. So, like, obviously, that there's a difference between us, and you think that the evidence is better than I think it is.
I think there's more evidence than you think there is. But I were you a Christian at one point or what?
No.
You were always atheist from the beginning of your life. You always thought there's no creator.
I mean, I was too young to have thoughts like that at some point, but I never had any belief in any creator or gods, or I was never unsure about any of it. I just like I honestly thought that it was like Santa Claus. Like, and eventually, like I thought that the adults would say, "Oh yeah, like that was all made up. Nobody actually believes that." I was actually shocked when I realized that adults truly do believe this stuff.
So do your parents believe in this stuff or what?
My dad was an atheist and my mom is spiritual, whatever that means. She believes in some sort of higher power or whatever. But neither of them ever tried to like impart their beliefs on me.
Okay. So they gave you freedom in that regard.
Yeah,
which is good.
I got curious about what Christians believe and I asked if I could go to a church and talk to a priest and they took me. So
all right, real fast,
movie...
guys. That is the initial time. However, we're at 17 minutes of additional time right now. If y'all want to add additional time, feel free to submit super chats. It'll give them a little bit additional time to answer the question you asked. I'm starting the additional 17 minutes now. You have a little bit more freedom on the topic here in this back half.
Yeah, basically, my suspicion is that it wouldn't change your mind in the slightest. If me or
I'm
a
open
bunch
to
of
evidence.
other people, if we all
didn't you listen to me? I said I want demons to be as weak as possible. I think they can move objects. If you could take that away from them, for me, I would rejoice. If they're weaker losers, then they can't even move objects. I would say yes.
Okay, I'm curious.
Awesome.
Then, why do you think that the demons have left me alone entirely? Why have I never seen any demons do anything around me? And not in my whole life experience. Why have they left me alone? And they're playing.
How do you know they have left you alone? You just said you had this experience with these dark figures, and you had this experience that you had where you couldn't move, and these dark figures. How do you not know?
Because that's sleep paralysis. That's a
okay. So you just call it in sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis is a naturalistic phenomenon that we understand. So it's not like that could be a supernatural demon or something because there's not room for a demon.
Why not?
Causal. There's not causal.
Why not
for a demon there?
Why not?
Because sleep paralysis would be happening if demons did not exist at all. Like
how do you know?
Because it's a naturalistic process. Like in terms
But how
of
do you know
all of
that?
in terms of all of the cause and effect, it's fully accounted for naturalistically.
How
Like
do you
it's
know that?
evident. It's like there's brain studies on sleep paralysis. We know how it arises in the brain. We know what causes it.
Yeah, but why is there black beings that you see? Dark beings.
Because of the effects that it has on your
Why is
brain.
there always dark beings?
Because you're in a dark room. If you were in a room that was totally bright, you probably wouldn't be seeing any weird dark figures because there's no shadows in the room for your brain to misinterpret. Like if you see something that doesn't have a lot of detail, your brain will oftentimes like model what it thinks it is, and you could see that until you get closer and you see that that's not what it is, and it resolves once you have enough sensory data. The reason why this stuff happens in dark rooms is because there's not enough sensory data and your brain can play tricks on you.
Yeah, so I'm glad you haven't gone and done lots of tests or mess around with this stuff and then become a Satanist or something. Hopefully, you won't become one if you
Yeah.
realize this is stuff. Would you then go against them, or would you join their team? Would you?
I wouldn't know what it would even mean to go against it. Like if I were to be convinced that demons are somehow real, I don't know how that would affect my life at all, to be honest. Like
It wouldn't affect your life.
I would probably try to avoid them if they were real, but I don't know if anything about my life would change.
So nothing would change if you realize that demons exist.
I don't know what I'm trying to think about what I would do differently if I knew that demons were real. I mean, I would
You
avoid
wouldn't
thinking
realize God
about
exists.
demons. That's about it.
So if we do tests together, and you realize that these beings exist, it would bring you no closer to God.
No, not really. I mean, I wouldn't see it as being
So
like
then why do tests? Like, it's
well,
like,
the
why
reason
would I do
for doing
testing?
tests, the reason for doing tests would be to see if demons are real or not. I think that would be like, I'm curious about the world around me and I want to know more about it.
That's good.
I care about what is true. If demons are true, then I would care about finding that out.
Yeah, but why would that not bring you closer to God? Like, to realizing that God exists? Like,
I
that
try
it's
to
no
explain-
evidence for God.
I
I
try to
don't
explain
understand.
this several times because there are multiple religious frameworks, some that have God and some that don't, that all have demons in their framework. So I don't see how the existence of demons would give me any closer to a God versus not God framework. Like I could become an animist maybe, and I could think there's good and bad spirits and everything, and that would be fully consistent with a world where I'm experiencing demons.
Okay, so but you won't realize from them reacting to Jesus' name and hating the God of the Bible, and you can see them hating it and trying to get people away from it, and how they scream when you use the God's name,
So
stuff
now
like that.
you're
It's
adding a lot more properties onto the demons that
yeah,
I hadn't been granting. All I granted was that demon if demons exist. I
yeah,
didn't say
but
that they do all this stuff that
that's what
you're
I'm
saying.
talking about when I'm talking about demons, though.
So if you're saying if specifically the Christian idea of demons I were to have demonstrated their existence to me, and I am convinced that the Christian conception of demons exists, would I then believe in the Christian God? Is that what you're asking?
Mm.
Um, I might be like a deist or something, but I still think that the problem of evil is fundamentally ruling
So
the.
what's so big about the problem of evil? Because for me, evil just screams that there's a creator. Because I don't think there's any evil if there's a God. No God. Like
Well,
in
I,
our created worlds, it's not evil to kill each other. This world, it is evil to kill each other. Animals that kill each other do no evil. If I kill
no,
you, I do real objective evil.
I okay, well, because I don't think that there is an objective evil. Like even if demons were to exist, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be on board with thinking there's objective evil. But maybe if they fulfill those things that you're talking about, I would be more amenable to that. But I still think that the problem of evil is just preclusionary evidence because if God is all good and all powerful, then there wouldn't be demons.
Why?
Because if he's all good, then he would be motivated to oppose evil. And if he's all
He does.
powerful, then nothing would be able to stop him. So then the demons wouldn't be able to exist. Like it just seems to follow from those
Why?
Yeah, it
Like
logically
if you give
follows.
free will to something and it chooses evil, how is that?
Because you made its nature. Like when
He
God,
made good angels, not demons, though.
well, actually Isaiah 45:7 says that God created all good and evil. So he did both.
No, that's a mistranslation.
I'm not sure about that,
Yeah,
but
it's not the correct
about
translation. Evil is a privation. It's like darkness is a privation of light. Only
well,
light is created.
I'm sorry,
Um,
but Isaiah 45 says specifically that he
yeah,
created darkness.
yeah, but I'm just saying, from a scientific point of view, darkness is not a thing. Okay,
Why
light
are
is
we
created.
why are we switching to a scientific point of view? I thought
Because
we were
I'm just
adopting a
trying
biblical
to show
point.
you.
Well, we can't be
I'm just
adopting a scientific point of view if we're going to be talking about Bible verses,
why
because that's not
science is about knowledge.
no, it's not really just about knowledge. I mean, not
Yeah,
all types of knowledge are therefore scientific.
that's why you get library science and political science and so forth. It's
Yeah,
about gaining knowledge.
science is not just anything having to do with knowledge or knowledge generation, because there's lots of like non-scientific ways to knowledge. But like it's just like an etymological fallacy to think like, oh, science was derived from the word for knowledge, therefore knowledge is science. No,
But
like
so library science, why is there something like library science and political science?
why is there a Democratic People's Republic of Korea if it's not democratic or a republic? Because
Okay, so you don't think that's a part of science? You don't think
they're called
library science
misnomers.
and political science should be thrown out of science?
No, because in political science, they do follow the scientific method when they publish. Like you do follow the scientific method at times, but not all things like that generate knowledge follow the scientific method. So like again, these are just misnomers. That it's fine that they call it something that's like not that accurate. It's whatever. It's a misnomer. But like the point is, we shouldn't be scientific about this. It says like in the verse that God creates evil. So you'd have to show me how that's
It doesn't. It doesn't say that.
well, you'd have to show me how that's not, because it says he creates light and he creates darkness and good and evil and blah blah blah. But
Yeah, he creates all things, but evil is a privation of good.
my
Like it's
point,
a,
my point
it's a, it's
was
not
that
something that's created.
my point is that if God is all knowing, then he knows all the actions I'm going to do, like when he created,
Yes.
because he created me with a certain nature that if this nature had free will, it would do these decisions basically. Like he knows what I'm going to do when he's creating me. He created me that way. So it doesn't really, it seems incompatible with
He created you free. You can choose evil or good.
he knows
You're a
the
free
choice
being.
I'm going to make because he made me that way.
No, because he's outside of time. That's why he knows the choices you're going to make.
It is fully conceivable for God to have created a universe that everybody has free will and they freely choose not to do any evil, and there's no evil in that universe. Like there's nothing contradictory about that state of affairs, because it's just in everybody's nature to choose good freely. So like it depends on what your nature is. So like again, I don't see, like, if there is evil existing in the world, like not talking objectively, just subjectively or whatever, or if you're doing an internal critique, it's just defining evil by the way that Christians do. If there's evil, it seems to preclude the ability of the possibility of an all good, all powerful God.
I doubt it. No one's going to believe in your theory.
Okay.
So evidence for it.
There are a few super chat questions. They are a little bit dated because y'all were going back and forth pretty hard there. And so y'all still have about 14 minutes left. If anybody would like to extend this, there's about 28 minutes left available in overtime. So, you can submit super chat questions, stuff like that. Dade Murphy says, excuse me, we should have the exorcism. I cannot.
No miracles or other demonic
I've never
phenomenon.
experienced anything supernatural at all. Like
Never.
No, never. I mean, it's not like I'm closed off to it. It's not like I haven't like put myself off in like scary situations or whatever. Like I've been to cemeteries at night. I've been to dark woods in the middle of nowhere. Like I've been places that were scary. But I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen any weird lights in the.
All right, go ahead and start placing your votes, Maarten. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll start your 8 minutes for your closing statements.
Okay.
You've got 8 minutes.
Okay. It just warned me a minute before, please. Thanks, Grayson. It was nice talking to you. I'm very glad you are interested in this stuff. You're open a little bit, at least, and you want to do taste on this stuff, which is awesome. But just be careful when doing taste or research. Just like with drugs, I wouldn't suggest you'll go use drugs or something. But we can get in touch after this, and I can give you some stuff, and I would love to hear what you think about it. There's a lot of evidence I can share with you after this as well. I would love for you to give me good arguments to get it, so that I can think demons are weak. Okay, and weaker than I even think they are. Um, so I love that he said that if the if that characteristics that I said of demons existing and what they react to, then you would think it's, if I understand it correctly, I could be wrong, then you would think it's actually evidence for the Christian God, a little bit, perhaps. Perhaps not the base evidence, but at least a little bit, which I think is awesome. But I love that it seems like that he gave up on the topic, and I don't want to put low blows or something, but like if you just look at the topic, if you just take it for what it is, like just a god, then obviously demons is evidence for God. But okay, he wanted to rather put it. We should have probably changed the topic for to are demons evidence for the Christian God, because then it's more difficult than just are demons evidence for God. So perhaps you should have changed the topic there. Choose a better topic that's more hard. So I think in that regard, I don't know. Next time we can chat about it. Choose a harder topic to do. I don't want to take easy shots there, but it is what it is. And yeah, it was fun chatting with him. He interrupted me a few times, but I interrupted him a few times as well. So, but it was a pleasure talking to him, and it's very interesting. I always learn from talking to atheists, and hopefully you guys can learn from what I shared as well from my research and stuff. I think we all can learn from each other, and then form better theories and hypotheses, and better put down for that, but other people not so much. So I think we should be more open to this and discuss it more. I think it shouldn't be taboo. But thanks, Grayson, and thanks, Tacos, for this chat. It was lots of fun, and thanks everyone for watching. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for the great closing statements. I'm going to reset the timer real fast for you, Grayson. Let me know when you're ready, and you'll have 8 minutes. Also, everybody, slam that like button. The vote is up for the Master Debater. There's only 30 votes on that, so let's try to get that up to like 40 votes by the end of Grayson's open or closing. But let me know when you're ready, and you'll have 8 minutes.
Okay, I'm ready. So
Go.
I don't think that I backed away from the topic at all. I was even willing to talk about my actual position that I don't believe the demons are real, but I was even willing to grant that if they are real, are they evidence for God? And I talked about why I don't think that they are. For example, if demons are real, then there's no reason to then think that there's also these things called gods that are real in light of the fact that demons are real. I mean, we could just have a universe with demons in it that wouldn't get us anywhere closer to gods. It was only by adding all of these specific properties to demons that are not observed globally, right? Like people's interactions with demons vary based on their region. It's only by adding all of these extra properties on demons, like, oh, well, if these demons specifically react to like the Christian God, and if this and this and this and all these types of demons, which is just not in, it's not really in tune with the it's not implied with the question of just whether or not demons exist. So I don't think I backed off. I was willing to entertain a whole lot of just like, for the sake of argument, let's just say that demons of this variety existed, then what in this debate? I mean, I think that I explained why demons probably don't exist based on the evidence that we had pretty clearly. I mean, just based on history, the things that used to be attributed to demons are now understood to have natural causes, and that does seem to be much exceptions to that. To think that things that are attributed to demons nowadays would somehow not have natural causes based on the entire history of demons and science in the past thousands of years, it just seems like there's a definitive trend towards less things being explained by demons and more things being explained by naturalistic causes. I see no reason to think that this trend would somehow stop and then we'd get to the stuff that's actually like from demons. It just doesn't seem to have any reason that why I would think that's the case. The fact that people's beliefs and interaction with demons vary so much, and how people think that demons are one way when they interact with them in India versus when they interact with them in Africa versus when they interact with them in the Anglosphere. I mean, these don't seem to be like beings that exist with actual properties out in the world, when these interactions that people think that they have with them vary so much based on their own priors going into, like, if they believe that demons are one way, their demonic experiences will reflect that. That's clearly indicative of something that's not real, like people's experiences with aliens or Bigfoot or anything else that's we would consider to be mythological. It just seems that it fits the exact same mold as all these other things that I have no reason to think exist. So I don't think I've backed away from the topic at all. I explained my reasoning about why I think that there's no evidence for demon, and why, in fact, the evidence indicates that demons don't exist. There's positive evidence to think that they don't exist for the reasons I just laid out. And on top of the fact that there is not any strong evidence indicating their existence beyond people experiencing weird things, which, like, people are always going to be experiencing weird things. Human perception is not infallible. The brain has a model of reality that is colored by our own beliefs and preconceptions that it projects out onto the world. And it's only with sufficient sense data that that model is updated. So if we're in a situation where we don't have sufficient sense data, then our brains will project what we want to believe out into the world, and we will think that we're having those experiences. That happens all the time, every day, for people around the world. And it happens in ways that are contradictory to each other's experiences. So all that just seems to indicate to me that these are not phenomenon that are truly happening out there in the world. But then, even on top of that, if I were just to, for the sake of argument, agree that demons really do exist, they still have all these problems, because you can't just infer that gods exist from the existence of demons. There could be just a universe where we have demons and no gods. That's completely logically plausible, or possible at least. And so I don't see how you get from one to the other. You can't trust the actions or the sayings of demons in the first place, because they're inherently untrustworthy because they're demons. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you accept that demons exist, you always have to be wondering if that somebody or something is a demon in the back of your head. I mean, it's always a possibility that you could be being deceived, and there could be some demon that's manipulating your entire conception of the world and, like, making you think that you could be in a demon's matrix if demons are real. Like, all of that would be possible if demons are real. It doesn't just automatically get you to a god, much less the Christian God. I assumed that we were going to be arguing for the Christian God because, like, I didn't think that my opponent was going to be arguing for, like, a Hindu God or something because he's Christian. So I didn't think that needed to be specified. I didn't know we were going to be getting so lawyerish with the topic here. I just threw out a topic because I didn't want to just talk about demons when it was proposed to me. I wanted to talk about demons and God's existence. So yeah, that's the reason for the topic. I don't think that I backed away from the topic at all. I think I addressed the topic and why I don't think that demons are real in the first place. And even if they were, they would not lead you to thinking that a God existed just from the existence of demons alone. So with that, I will see the rest of my time. Thanks for having me, Taco. And Maarten, thanks for the cordial debate. Appreciated talking with you.
Thank you for the great closing. I am going to go ahead and open up the open panel here in just a minute. I put a link in chat a couple of times, actually. Now, tonight's master debater has been voted for. And so tonight's master debater, I guess today, since it's not, I guess it is tonight now, actually, but is Grayson Hawk with 91% of the vote. And Maarten got 9% of the vote.